Many women talk about their homes as if chaos is inevitable. We laugh about being overwhelmed. We glorify survival mode. We normalize yelling, and we medicate disconnection with screens. The message seems to be motherhood is just this hard. Home will always be loud and chaotic. But what if that isn't true? What if chaos is not the default? It's just familiar. And peace is something that is built, often before you feel like you're healed enough to create it. Hello, my friends. If you're new here, my name is Hannah, and here at Purposeful Home, I help women manage their homes with intention, keep the romantic spark in their marriages alive, and embrace the beauty that is motherhood. If any of that resonates, be sure to subscribe and stick around. Today, we're talking about something that matters deeply. How do you create a peaceful home, even when you weren't raised in one? How do you show up as emotionally grounded when your nervous system was trained to expect instability? And this is so important. How do you start before you actually feel healed? Our cultural messaging teaches avoidance, not patience. We live in a culture that teaches moms to cope instead of cultivate, screens instead of structure, snacks instead of connection, distraction instead of healing. Many moms feel like, as long as the kids are quiet, we're fine. But peace doesn't necessarily equal quiet. Silenced emotions aren't regulated emotions necessarily. And distraction doesn't produce connection. Our children are overstimulated because stimulation is all they're given. Not direction, not participation, not modeling. I mean, wide brushstrokes here. And mothers are overwhelmed because they're expected to carry the emotional weight without being shown how. No one taught us how to create peace, and yet we assume we should just know how. And for many of us, peace can feel unnatural to our nervous systems if we weren't raised in it. When you grow up with chaos, your body internalizes it as normal, not safe, just familiar. So as adults, we unconsciously live as if urgency is normal, yelling is required, calm is temporary, connection is conditional. That wasn't peace. That was survival. And here's the shift that matters. When you begin creating a peaceful home, it will not feel emotionally familiar at first. Just like someone who grew up with financial instability struggles to feel safe when money finally arrives. Someone who grew up without emotional peace struggles to feel safe when calm becomes possible. This doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're healing. Because let us remember, our nervous system wants to be right, so it's going to journey towards what is familiar, even if what's familiar is not necessarily what's best for us. So we have to actively try to expose our nervous system to what is better for it. So we're going to talk about having an identity shift that is acting like peace is already present. So let's borrow something powerful from the financial world. Psychologists often mention that many people struggle to receive wealth not because they lack income, but because safety feels foreign. They have to begin living as though they are safe before they emotionally feel it. The same is true here. You must begin treating your home as peaceful before it actually feels peaceful. That means speaking like peace exists before everyone acts peaceful, moving slowly before life feels slow, handling conflict calmly before harmony is established, building rhythms before you know how to maintain them. This is not pretending. This is identity-forming behavior. Identity is built through repetition. You don't become peaceful when your house calms down. Your house calms down as you become peaceful. So, as an example, for me personally, when I started learning how to heal my nervous system, I had to picture myself as someone who was healed, who was patient, who was present, but I caught myself accidentally thinking I'm identifying as someone who's learning, as someone who's struggling but still working at it, as someone who's getting there. I wasn't actually identifying as someone who'd already made it. And I realized it's because I kept envisioning myself practicing being calm, practicing being patient, practicing this and that. You get the picture. And then I thought, okay, but how would I act if I had already succeeded? Like If I had already had a wonderful homeschooling day and I felt proud of myself for being present, not getting frustrated at any point, and just having fun and actually feeling like a professional home educator, I would feel just blissful and it would brighten the rest of my day. So I was like, okay, that's what we're practicing. We're going to start practicing the end result. And I started thinking, how would I feel after handling a conflict between my two children when they're arguing over something? I would feel like a righteous judge, like I listened to both sides well and both sides felt heard. And then I would move about thinking, I restored peace. Thinking about the end result after being how proud I would be of myself after the conflict or the issue made it easier for me to really see myself living in that reality as that peaceful, present mom. So I want you to, when you picture yourself as that mom, I want you to think of yourself not just how you would handle the conflict, but how you would feel afterward. So you can start creating that normal in your brain where it starts to think, oh, yeah, I can see us doing that. I can see us living life like that. I also think it's important to think, if I were that peaceful mom, what would my house look like? Would I have a plan for each day? Would I have a family calendar so we always knew what was coming? Would I have rhythms and systems in the morning that kept the rest of the day going smoothly? Would I have a meal plan? I want you to think like that, what you picture a peaceful home looks and sounds and feels like, and then think backwards like, okay, if I want this end result, what steps would I have to take in order to get myself there? Think backwards. And if that feels too daunting, sometimes thinking the opposite can be very eye-opening. Think to yourself, if I wanted my home to feel chaotic, what would I do? If I wanted the home to always feel loud and messy, what would I do? If I wanted to always feel like I was running behind, what would I do? If I wanted to ensure I never had time to myself, what would I do? Sometimes thinking the opposite of what we want can reveal some things that we didn't realize that we were actively choosing. So I just wanted to present that to you as ways to start thinking differently so that you can create a more peaceful home habitually. Now I want us to discuss some core issues that are preventing peace. It always helps to name what needs healing. For one, our culture has a lot of overstimulated children because stimulation replaced direction. Entertainment replaced involvement. Children don't need more activity, they need purpose. And I honestly, I was really guilty of this whenever I was newly pregnant or newly postpartum, or when I was really in the trenches and struggling to do much of anything. It was put them in front of a screen, put them in front of a screen. Mommy needs a break. And I think that there is a time and a place for that. Sometimes you sincerely need the help and you should do that. You should do what you need to. If you are in survival mode, if you are sick, if you are tired, yes, let them help you. Let them be tools. But I do think that our kids thrive better when they have structure and they have things to do. Days when we have school and chores and then play, the day just goes by so much more smoothly. And then after that, if they want to watch a TV show like The Waltons or Little House on the Prairie or a sweet family movie, I don't feel like I've used the TV as a babysitter all day. Does that make sense? The structure helps both the mama and the babies have more of a fluid day because we know what to expect, and it doesn't feel like we're just flying by the seat of our pants or by the child like whims based on whatever they may want to do. And that being said, once school and chores are taken care of, if they want to do something fun and random like build a dollhouse, which is what my daughter's working on with my husband, or my son wanted to build a massive thing out of cardboard, I'm just like, sure, buddy, you go ahead. Because at that point, everything that needs to be done is taken care of. So then letting them experience their creativity and just be kids, it doesn't feel like it's getting in the way of other stuff that needs to be done. And along with overstimulated children, we have dysregulated mothers. Moms want to be gentle, but sometimes don't have the margin. They want to be patient, but we're sometimes operating out of depletion. We want to be intentional, but we live in reaction mode. And we cannot guide what we have no capacity to hold. Another issue is that we have homes without predictable emotional frameworks. Homes need rhythms. touch points, closures, and routines. Kids melt down when structure melts down, and moms melt down when everything rests on improvisation. So let's talk about our long-term goals in order to create a peaceful environment from a peaceful identity. These shifts take time, but they transform everything. So first of all, create calming rituals before the calm exists. Have an evening reset. Have for your bedtime window. Have morning anchors for yourself. Have weekly rest days. For a while, it will feel like you're forcing structure, but then it will feel like you're protecting your peace. We also have to get rid of the martyrdom speech. Get rid of that vocabulary. Speak as if peace already exists. Not, stop yelling, why are you doing that? But let's reset, try again, speak softly. Your tone becomes their inner voice. Even if it starts as effort, it will eventually end as instinct. Also, treat your home with dignity before it reflects dignity. This is huge. Put effort into scents you love, music that calms, tiny organizational wins, little upgrades here and there, little aesthetic touches, not because it's Pinterest pretty, but because beauty signals safety, and it's so important to us as women. A peaceful environment invites peaceful behavior, and your nervous system responds, and their nervous systems respond. Also, create repair before perfection. You don't need perfect reactions. You need consistent repair. It's okay to go to your children and say, that didn't come out right. Let's try again. I shouldn't have yelled. Repair heals nervous systems faster than perfection. Because let's face it, none of us are going to get there. Your kids don't need a perfect mom, but they do need a happy one. So take time to pause, take time to show up as that mom who's trying. This is a good thing to model for your children. And now let's talk about becoming the healed version. This is spiritual, this is generational, and this truth matters. You don't heal first, then build peace. You build peace, and healing occurs within it. You don't wait until you're fully emotionally regulated to create structure. Structure is what regulates you. You don't wait to feel whole before cultivating loving connection. Loving connection is what makes you feel whole. You don't wait for your children to behave perfectly before becoming gentle. Your gentleness shapes their behavior. And I want to say this too, this is where the subtle art of influence is so powerful. And this is not to be manipulative, but just to build our children up in a very positive way. It's amazing when you speak life into your children and say things like, you're amazing. You are so creative. You're so helpful. How did you know mommy would need you to do that? Thank you so much for helping me. Thank you so much for offering. And you have the best smile. Your laugh makes my day. Our home wasn't complete until you were in it. Building up your children, oh my gosh, you will just see them rise up and you will see them be motivated by that connection they have with you. And there's a lot less discipline that needs to happen when they want to do things in order to please you and keep that connection there. And because they believe that they can do it. When we believe that we are a good person and we believe that we are helpful and we believe that we are contributing, we rise to that identity and we want to prove that true to our own nervous system. Our nervous system will then look for ways to believe that that is true. Like, I am helpful. I'm going to go pick that up. I am patient. I'm going to share with my brother. Speak life into your children. Speak life into yourself. Speak life into your home, and you will see a drastic change. And it helps so much to just keep casting that vision of your future self. One day, you will look around and realize your home feels safe. Not rushed, not reactive, not heavy. Your children will say, I love being home. They will thrive in the environment you cultivated. Your future adult children will parent differently because of what you built. And your nervous system will finally relax because peace will have become familiar. Not effort, not performance, normal. Remember, you may not have grown up in a peaceful home. You may not know what that looks like. You may feel like you're building blind, but you are becoming the first woman in your lineage who creates emotional safety on purpose. Piece by piece, habit by habit, repair by repair, you are acting like a peaceful mother before you feel like one. And that is how identity forms. So stay close, because you are not just managing your household, you are rewriting what home feels like for every generation that comes after you. Friends, I want to thank you so much for spending part of your time with me today. If you got any value from this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. It really does help my channel to grow, and it is a mission on my heart to try to encourage as many wives and mothers as I possibly can. In the name of our Messiah, I pray it. So once again, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye, friends.